Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at some less than ideal news, but then we've got some very good news to have a bit of a chat about as well. And I'm also going to be answering a question many of you have asked me, although I might not be giving you the perfect answer, for which I can only apologise. So the news is that in the UK at least, turns out the Fusion Strike pre-releases have been postponed. Now, what's really weird here is that a bunch of stores actually do have pre-release kits in, but they have been told to put the pre-release back by a week. And essentially, the reason for this is just the global supply situation at the moment. The folks over at Geek Retreat went and sent this out on their social channels. Unfortunately, our suppliers have just informed us that the Pokémon Fusion Strike pre-release date has now been changed to the 6th to the 14th of November. And therefore, our originally scheduled events must be cancelled and rescheduled. Now, there is always a 2-week period where you can run pre-release events. So now, essentially, instead of starting this weekend, the 30th and 31st, and then finishing on the 6th and 7th, they're starting on the 6th and 7th and finishing on the weekend of the 13th and 14th. Incidentally, that weekend of the 13th and 14th is the release date of Fusion Strike. So, and we've seen this before, this isn't a completely unique thing. There are potentially going to be pre-releases happening on the weekend. The set is actually out. What I will say is those pre-releases, when the set is actually released, are a little bit more awkward, because obviously people can have cards in other ways. If you're attending a pre-release on the Saturday after the set is out, you may have opened up a booster box or something like that, and that can actually be kind of awkward because, of course, more nefarious fellows around might choose to, well, they might actually get some cards that they didn't pull at the pre-release and then go and take it to the pre-release and make a much better pre-release deck than they should be able to make. At a bunch of places, this doesn't actually matter. All the places I tend to frequent in the UK are really good now, in that they don't give extra prizes to the winners of pre-releases, but I know that some stores still do, and that can actually be super annoying, because if somebody turns up with extra cards and then gets extra packs because they essentially cheated, that's a very bad thing. So fingers crossed that doesn't actually end up being a thing. So Geek Retreat continue here. This is understandably frustrating to everyone who has been looking forward to these events, ourselves included. We will update you soon with revised times and dates. However, in the past few weeks, many staff at Geek Retreat stores around the country, they are a franchise, they do have stores all over, have received verbal abuse from customers due to the lack of supply of certain Pokémon products. We would like to point out that just like issues with the supply of Pokémon products, this change in the date of the pre-release is completely outside of our control. We believe Geek Retreat should always be a safe place to meet, play, and to work, and any abuse of our staff will never be accepted or tolerated for any reason. And I'm deliberately including this on the end here because, and I like to think that you guys watching this are lovely people, nice people, you would never do this, but just to make this completely and utterly 100% super clear, it's not cool. Like, even if, like I've talked about in recent videos, even if your local game store is charging 3 or 4 times recommended retail price for Pokemon products, which I've said is not cool and all of that, there is still absolutely no excuse for going and shouting at the people who work in stores, or being rude. If you think a store is charging far too much, taking a mick, etc., then the correct response is, stop shopping there. That's it. Maybe, politely inform them why, but no, this is completely out of order. I don't think you guys would do that. I like to think you wouldn't do that. But obviously, needless to say, if you know people who have, or your friends have, etc., have a quiet word with them, would ya? That is not okay. Now, as it stands at the moment, I have heard of the pre-releases being delayed in the UK. I have not heard of them being delayed in other countries. Certainly, I am friends of a bunch of people who are Pokemon related. Shockingly, over on Facebook, and a lot of them have been posting about pre-release kits, and the good news is that these seem to be going ahead just like normal. This seems to be pretty gosh darn good. They seem to be going ahead like normal. There are a bunch of stores over in the US which are actually putting the pre-releases on, which is lovely. So it doesn't seem to be a US thing at the moment. But like I've said, if these shipping issues are happening, you do need to be aware. That does, of course, lead to the fairly obvious question of, well, hang on a second. Does that mean that there is a possibility of the release of Fusion Strike being delayed? At the moment, no. There's nothing to suggest that that is happening. Do remember it takes a couple weeks for the cards to be tournament legal anyway, so I wouldn't worry about that in terms of card legality, but honestly, it seems like it is largely a UK thing. They're going to be delayed by a week. It's not ideal, don't get me wrong, it's not a perfect situation, but I think as it stands at the moment, it really is. It's not the worst thing ever. Disappointing, yes, but far from the worst thing ever. And as always, if I do get any updates about that, I will of course let you know. Now, that's the not ideal news, but we have some much better news. The lovely Derek over on Twitter, HKG, who lives over in Hong Kong, has been sharing some lovely news with us. And essentially, the lovely news is that if you are living over in Hong Kong, this stuff is honestly pretty available. I've told you recently about the Hong Kong stuff, and incidentally, right, Hong Kong and Taiwan, they seem to be having the best of celebrations. They seem to be doing it better than other places because, Derek shared this image on day 3 of release, and you will notice that it's like hilariously available. Now remember that the Hong Kong stuff is coming out in waves, it's not all coming out at the same time, but the first wave included the Venusaur playmat collection and the Gardevoir collection that doesn't have a playmat, but does have a third Classic Collection promo and a deck box, and you will notice that it's all just there. It's just sitting on the shelves. It's just fully available. And it's not that there's one or two. There is loads available there. You will then notice that those blisters, the ones featuring Mewtwo and Mew, Magikarp and Gyarados, and Reshiram and Zekrom, they are all also just sitting there on the shelves readily available to buy. I have talked about the fact that these are, and I do believe this, these are the coolest celebration products out there. I don't think there is anywhere in the world that has done this stuff as well as Hong Kong and Taiwan have done it. I think, for those of you that missed it, and I've covered this in a bunch of videos, so do go back and check them out. But essentially, the way they're doing it is rather than having Classic Collections seeded into booster packs like we've had them over here, that's UK, US, Europe, etc., or having the promo packs like they are over in Japan and Korea, what they've done instead is they've just given them all out as promos. So every card is available in a particular product. You want the Venusaur, go buy the Venusaur playmat collection. Want Reshiram and Charizard, go and buy that blister. It is the only place they are actually being made available. And I kind of love this if the supply is good enough. If the products are available. Well, so far, there have been the free 2-card blisters and the Venusaur and Gardevoir collection. And as it stands at the moment, they are very available, they are not selling out everywhere, and it is awesome. Now, of course, the question becomes, what's going to happen when it's the Charizard set? I showed you this the other day. It comes with your Charizard playmat, Charizard box, Charizard sleeves, and, of course, the Charizard promo. And it's going to be very interesting to see if we see the same kind of thing. Like I said, this image is from 3 days after release, and Venusaur and Gardevoir, who not for nothing are pretty popular Pokemon, those products are just out there and available, and life is good. It will remain to be seen if it carries on with Charizard, and, I can show you the Umbreon set as well. and Umbreon is the other big money card, at least over here. Still not that valuable, to be honest with you, but it's a clear number 2 after Charizard, so maybe these will be a bit more sought after, but as it stands at the moment, things are going pretty gosh darned well. Which brings me to the question that a bunch of you have been asking me, and the question essentially is, how do we order these products from Hong Kong and Taiwan? And I told you I'd give you an answer, but I also warned you at the beginning of the video that it wouldn't be a particularly good answer. And the answer essentially is, it's not easy. There are essentially 3 ways to do it, and I did go through this in a previous video. Just search on the channel for how to order from Japan or something like that. And essentially there are 3 ways to order products from other countries. Number 1, find a site based in your country that resells. This is the easiest way to do it, but it is also generally the most expensive. Make a friend in Hong Kong and Taiwan who can send you the products, which is the cheapest and easiest way to do it once you've made a friend. Making a friend can be awkward. And the third way is to set up some kind of proxy service. That is, they will give you an address in that country so you can order online, get it delivered to, an address in Hong Kong, and they will forward it on to you, which tends to be a bit of a middle ground option, but is usually the most awkward and hardest way to actually do it. Plus, you are navigating websites in Chinese, etc. None of them are great options, I'll be honest with you. None of them are perfect. But if you want these products, that's the best way to do it. I have seen a bunch of people selling these products on Facebook, and the markups for all of them have not been horrendous. I think for the majority of you out there, that is probably going to be the easiest way to do it. It's just up to you whether you're willing to pay the premium you have to for that ease of ordering them. So there we go. Pre-releases are delayed, at least in the UK. I would imagine some places in Europe as well, though we do have to wait and see. And it doesn't seem like it's going to affect the release of Fusion Strike, but watch this space. And over in Hong Kong and Taiwan, these products are amazingly available. Supply is good, and that is awesome. But ordering from them might be a bit of a pain in the neck, I think is a polite phrase to use. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you think about this. I want to know, quite frankly, anything you want to tell me. So go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.